Okay, so in the last one we ended up talking about habits of the mind and what those might look like and how they might show up, like in the stories that we tell us in an instantaneous moment to explain why things happen the way they do or why people behave the way they do or why we behave the way we did. And that can be habits that have grown in us based on many, many things. That would be my entire like child development class. Um, but it's just good to notice and be aware of because usually it's a combination of our wiring and the experiences that we've had and what has proven to be beneficial to us in coping with certain things. And so we are trying to kind of question some of those beliefs that we've had about why people behave the way they do, why we behave the way we do, so that we can expand our lens a little bit. Okay. So another thing I'd like you to know about the brain is it does have what's been called a negativity bias. Rick Hansen has this book is also on your extra credit reading list, author of Buddha's Brain, and just talks about this idea of the negativity bias. He's a neuropsychologist. That the brain has a tendency to notice and hold on to the negative more than the positive. The quote from him being that the brain is Velcro for the negative, sticks, and Teflon, that stuff you spray on pans that makes it nonstick, for the positive. So why is that and what is that about? You know, in our evolution, the brain, early human had to be very, very aware of threats on the plains, big animals, other tribes, things like that, and had to stay very alert and aware. And that lowest, the oldest part of our brain, very responsive to the threats in our environment. The amygdala constantly asking, is this safe? Is this not? Constantly scanning our environment for things that are not safe to some extent. And in these days, a lot of those unsafe things tend to be social or emotional or cognitive in nature and not physical, though those still, of course, do exist in places. Um, in our society on a daily basis, there's a lot of social and emotional ones to add to anything else. And the brain holds to those. Because for early human, if you missed an approach opportunity, like a positive thing, then it might come again. But if you didn't pick up on a threat, you might be dead. So the brain knows that it's very important to recognize threats. And so it does very easily, and it holds them. And then it stores reaction to them so that reaction can come quickly the next time that we might see that same kind of threat. Now, unfortunately, today, it can look kind of like, oh, you get a new hairdo or a new shirt or some kind of new look. And 10 people tell you how fabulous that is. And then one person looks at you sideways. And what do you remember? What do you go home with? You're noticing that my family is dealing with the curtains in the back. Um, you go home with the negative, the thing that is that sticks with us. We might not even pay any attention to the 10 compliments, but boy, will we pay attention to that one, even look. And it may have nothing to do with us. That's the thing. We interpret things in our environment based on those stories that we tell ourselves. And sometimes they're correct, and sometimes they're not because we don't have all the information. If it's even anything like what we once considered a threatening situation, then all of a sudden the brain is picking it up as such again. Okay, so how do we make changes that last? We engage neuroplasticity to shape our brain and build conscious. That is not right. To shape our brain and build conscious, oh, sorry, to build conscious happiness habits. Maybe I've been recording too long. Engage neuroplasticity to shape our brain and build conscious happiness habits, habits that we choose and that are good for us. All right, so I want to do just a mindful moment, okay, and just open you up to what that means because I think that this is one of the best habits we can build for ourselves. And I'm going to make this a short video and I'm going to end it with this mindful moment, okay? And then we'll continue to talk about mindfulness a little bit more in the next one. So wherever you are, I'd like you to sit with your feet on the floor, shoulders up, back, and down. Stretch your neck so that put your chin back. Stretch your neck so that your neck is in alignment with your spine. It's like a string is pulling the crown of your head up to the ceiling. You feel the stretch in your shoulders, and then you relax into the seat so you're sitting straight but not rigid. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, then do so. If you're not, then just gaze about a foot in front of you very softly and listen to my voice. And the first thing I would like you to do is tune in to all the sounds in your environment. I don't want you to tune out. I want you to tune in. Just very gently and with no judgment, listen to all the sounds around you. Let yourself just notice and be aware of them. Observe them without having to hook into them. And then gently move your attention to your body in the seat, your feet on the floor, your bum and your back against a chair, the posture of your shoulders, the placement of your hands. Even notice the feel of the air on your skin. And then gently notice the rise and fall of your body as it breathes in and out. Notice where your body rises and falls, if it's in your belly, your rib cage, your chest. And just watch. Just observe as you would a wave on the shore, ebbing and flowing. Up and down, in and out. And I'd like you to do that for just a couple of rounds of breath. And if feelings or thoughts come in, simply notice them, name them, and then return your attention to your breath. Distracted, restful, relaxed. And I'd like you to breathe in to the count of 4, slowing your breath. And breathe out to the count of 5 with your breath slowing down, but do not lengthen your breath because I don't want you to become short of breath. Just see if you can slow it down. And do that for a couple of rounds. And then very gently let your breath return to normal. Return your attention to your body in the chair, your feet on the floor, to the sounds around you. And wiggle your fingers and toes and open your eyes. As I said, I'm going to end this video with this, but I simply want to say that this is what mindfulness mostly is, and I just wanted you to experience it before we even talk about it a little bit more. The coming into the moment. It's the not getting hooked up in the stories the mind likes to tell us, but really being with where we are at any given moment. And the myth of it is that we're supposed to clear our mind. It's simply being aware of what we're aware of. And the reason I kept changing your direction of attention is to show you that you have control over the direction of your attention. But what it takes is awareness of where your attention is going. And mindfulness is a way that we practice that. And we'll talk more about that in the next video. Now relax.